All right, so buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving headfirst into crypto.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically,
I'm excited for this one.
how Trump's presidency has completely, shaken up Bitcoin, the whole crypto world.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride so far.
We've got a ton of sources for you guys, like news articles. We've got some in-depth analysis pieces and even some opinion pieces from both sides.
Yeah, we tried to get a good mix in there.
And it all covers, like, from late 2024, when Trump took office,
When his current term started, yeah.
up to right now, February 2025.
Yeah, February 2025, that's right.
So the question is, like, with Trump pushing this Bitcoin superpower agenda,
Which is what a lot of people are calling it.
yeah,
Yeah.
has it been good for crypto or bad for crypto, or a bit of both?
Well, I think that's what we're going to try to unpack here.
Yeah.
It's been fascinating to watch for sure.
So let's start with, like, the biggest policy shifts and regulations coming out of Washington. And I think, like, the most impactful one so far has to be this whole thing with the federal Bitcoin reserve.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Trump is really pushing for this.
He is.
Yeah.
Really is.
Yeah.
It's making waves globally, for sure.
What does it even mean?
Like, imagine the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve,
Okay.
but for Bitcoin.
Okay. Yeah.
So the government would basically stockpile Bitcoin,
Oh, wow.
which is like a huge signal that they see it
That they're taking it seriously.
as like a legitimate global reserve asset, just gold.
So, like, gold but digital.
Exactly, yeah, like digital gold.
That's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
But what happens when the U.S. starts doing that?
Well, it could be a trigger for like a global crypto arms race,
Like, everybody's trying to...
All the other countries are going to be like, oh, we need some of that too.
They want to get in on the action.
Yeah, they want a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
And, there are reports that
Ooh.
like Japan and Russia
Oh, really?
and China, they're already kind of quietly increasing their Bitcoin holdings.
So they're already...
They're not messing around.
They're taking it seriously.
They see what's happening.
So that's globally.
Yeah.
But what about here? Like, what else is going on
Oh, there's a lot going on.
besides this Bitcoin reserve?
Besides the Bitcoin reserve.
Like policy.
Yeah. In Congress, there's this bicameral committee. They're working on a stablecoin bill
Oh, right.
that would regulate those, digital assets that are supposed to stay stable.
Right.
And then they're also pushing for a federal regulatory framework
Okay.
for the entire crypto market.
So, like, overall rules.
Overall rules for everything.
Yeah.
And there's even talk of making it easier to approve Bitcoin ETFs.
Which would be huge.
Which would be huge because it would make it so much simpler for everyday investors to get in the game.
So it seems like the government's, like, really all in on this Bitcoin superpower thing.
It seems that way.
So how is that, like, actually playing out?
Well, I mean, one thing is that it's generated a ton of interest and investment. We've seen like almost $2 billion flow into crypto markets since January,
Just this year.
just this year.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
But I'm guessing it's not all been good.
Well, no, not exactly. I mean, this is Trump we're talking about.
Right. He likes to shake things up.
He does like to shake things up. And unfortunately, back in early February, his trade policies actually caused a huge crash in the crypto market,
How huge are we talking?
like a $400 billion crash.
What?
Yeah, it was the biggest liquidation event of the year.
Oh, my gosh.
Over $2 billion just wiped out.
So that's the risk, right?
Exactly.
Like, even with all this government support, it's still, like, super volatile.
Yeah, that's the thing about crypto.
Yeah.
Even with more institutions getting involved, it can swing wildly,
Especially when Trump's involved.
especially with, unpredictable things like trade policies coming into play.
But even with that crash, I feel like I remember reading that Bitcoin's price has actually been going up this year.
It has.
Yeah. It's like overall.
Since the start of the year, Bitcoin is up about 50%.
Really?
Yeah, it's trading at around $104,000 right now.
Wow.
So yeah, despite the volatility, the overall trend is still up.
Okay.
And some analysts are predicting it could even hit 200,000 by the end of the year.
What?
Yeah, they think things like, more institutional adoption
Right.
and the growth of Bitcoin ETFs could really fuel that.
That would be wild.
It would be.
But we can't talk about unpredictable things without talking about Trump's meme coin.
Yes.
This is a whole other thing.
The infamous Trema-P.
This one I did not see coming.
It caught a lot of people by surprise.
Can you explain for people who haven't been following this, what is a meme coin?
Yeah, so basically a meme coin is a cryptocurrency,
Okay.
but it's inspired by like internet memes or jokes.
So like Dogecoin.
Yeah, it's exactly like Dogecoin.
So why is everyone like freaking out about Trump launching his own?
I mean, a lot of people are saying that it kind of goes against the whole Bitcoin superpower thing.
Right.
It makes it seem like maybe they don't really understand crypto as well as they say they do.
Right.
It sends a mixed message, for sure.
So was it a successful meme coin?
Not so much.
What happened?
It peaked at $75
Okay.
and then crashed down to like $39.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, a lot of people are worried it was a pump and dump scheme.
And didn't Trump's team like own most of it?
Yeah. Reportedly, they hold like 80% of the supply.
That's not a good look.
No, it's not.
So it's like the U.S. government is pushing for Bitcoin, but Trump is out here doing his own thing.
Yeah, it's a very confusing picture.
So how is the rest of the world reacting to all of this?
Oh, that's a great question.
Should we get into that?
Let's get into that.
Okay, let's do it. It's crazy, right? Like they're pushing Bitcoin as like this global thing.
Yeah.
But then you've got the meme coin, which seems like the opposite.
Right.
So how is the rest of the world like reacting to all of this coming out of the U.S.?
Well, it's been fascinating to see, different countries are reacting in different ways, like the European Central Bank.
Okay.
They're actually accelerating their plans for a digital euro,
Oh, yeah.
which is basically their version of like a central bank digital currency.
Do you think that's because of what the U.S. is doing?
It's hard to say for sure,
Right.
but the timing is definitely interesting.
Yeah.
They've been working on this digital euro for a while now, but it seems like the U.S.'s recent moves with crypto have kind of lit a fire under them.
Like they need to catch up.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want to be left behind.
Especially if the dollar isn't going to be like the only main currency anymore.
Right, exactly. If the world starts moving towards a system where Bitcoin is a major player,
Right.
the Eurozone wants to make sure they have a seat at the table.
Okay, so that's Europe. What about other countries?
Well, a lot of other countries are watching closely too.
Yeah.
Some are considering their own central bank digital currencies.
Okay.
Others are trying to figure out how to regulate cryptocurrencies.
Mm.
And it's interesting because some countries, especially developing countries,
Okay.
are really excited about the potential of Bitcoin.
Really?
Yeah, they see it as a way to maybe like skip ahead of the traditional financial systems.
Like leapfrog over them.
Yeah, exactly. They're drawn to the idea of a global decentralized currency
That makes sense.
that could give them more financial freedom and accessibility.
So it's not just like big, powerful countries?
No, not at all.
But back in the U.S., I feel like even here, people aren't totally on board with this whole Bitcoin superpower thing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, there are definitely different opinions.
What are some of the other opinions?
Well, like Senator Cynthia Loomis.
She's a Bitcoin fan, right?
Oh, yeah, she's a big advocate.
What's she saying?
She's actually proposed that the U.S. government should buy a ton of Bitcoin every year,
Like, how much are we talking?
like 200,000 Bitcoins a year.
Whoa.
Yeah, she thinks it would help solidify the U.S.'s position as a leader in the crypto space.
And, like, help the economy?
Yeah, potentially in the long run.
But I imagine that's kind of controversial.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like, what are people's concerns?
I mean, some people are worried about what it would do to the dollar.
Right.
And also, like, how would the government even buy and manage that much Bitcoin?
Yeah, that's a lot of Bitcoin.
It's a logistical challenge for sure.
So it's kind of like this tug of war
Yeah.
between people who see Bitcoin as the future and people who are more hesitant.
Exactly.
What does all of this mean, like, for the average person?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah, like, what should we be paying attention to?
Well, I think the key thing to remember is that things are changing.
Yeah,
The global financial system is in a state of flux,
right.
and cryptocurrencies are a big part of that.
It's kind of funny, actually.
What's that?
We started by talking about Trump's meme coin,
Right.
and at the time it seemed like kind of a joke,
Yeah.
but in a way it kind of represents what's going on.
How?
Like, it's this mix of excitement and confusion and risk.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Like, nobody really knows what's going to happen,
That's true.
but it's exciting to watch.
It is.
So as we're wrapping up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
what are some of the key things you think people should be thinking about?
Well, I think the most important thing is just to stay informed.
Okay.
Educate yourself about cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology.
Right.
Because knowledge is power in this space.
Definitely. And of course, be careful.
Yes. Always.
But like, beyond just like making money,
Mm-hmm.
what are the bigger implications of this whole Bitcoin superpower thing?
That's a really important question.
Yeah.
I mean, if Bitcoin really does take off,
Yeah.
it could change everything.
Like what kind of things?
I mean, how our financial systems work,
Okay.
our ideas about privacy and governance.
Wow.
It's not just about the price of Bitcoin.
It's about power.
It is about power.
It's a lot to think about.
It is. It's a lot to process.
Well, this has been really interesting.
Yeah, it has.
So do you want to move on to our last part of the deep dive?
Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, it really does feel like we're like at this crossroads, not just for like the US,
Right.
but for like the whole world.
The whole financial system.
Yeah. So with all this crypto stuff happening and the US maybe becoming a Bitcoin superpower,
Yeah.
where does it all go? Like, what's the future hold?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got this incredible technology.
Yeah.
They could totally revolutionize how we use money.
Oh, right.
But there's also like so much uncertainty and risk.
Yeah. Like, it's exciting.
Yeah.
But also kind of scary.
For sure.
So, like, what are some of the ways this could all play out?
Well, one possibility is that the U.S. actually pulls it off.
Pulls what off?
Like they actually make Bitcoin like a major global reserve asset.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that could lead to more stability for Bitcoin.
Okay.
And like it could make cryptocurrency seem more legitimate.
Like more official.
Yeah, exactly. To governments and institutions around the world.
Right. So, like, the dollar wouldn't be the only big currency anymore.
Right. It could lead to like a more multipolar financial system.
And that's a huge change.
It would be a huge change.
What about the bad stuff? Like, what could go wrong?
Well, that's the thing, right? Like any big change can have unintended consequences.
Yeah.
Some experts are worried that moving too quickly towards Bitcoin could actually destabilize the whole global financial system.
Because everything's built around the dollar right now.
Exactly.
So it's not like we can just switch over overnight.
No, it's definitely not that simple.
And how would this affect, like, regular people?
That's a really important consideration.
Yeah.
I mean, the people who are really into Bitcoin,
Yeah.
they say it could give individuals more control over their money.
Okay.
Like you wouldn't have to rely on banks as much.
Right.
And it could help people who don't have access to traditional banking.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Like in some parts of the world, it's hard to get a bank account.
Yeah.
So Bitcoin could be a game changer for those folks.
But there are downsides too, right?
Of course. I mean, like any new technology,
Yeah.
it could make inequality worse if it's not implemented carefully. And we have to think about the environmental impact of all that Bitcoin mining.
Yeah, that's a whole other issue.
It is.
So it seems like there are good things and bad things.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
not just black and white.
It's very complex.
And that's why it's so important to talk about it.
Exactly.
Like, we need to have these conversations.
We need to be informed.
So where does that leave us?
Well, I think the main takeaway is that we're in uncharted territory.
Yeah, like nobody knows for sure what's going to happen.
Exactly. The financial world is changing really fast.
And crypto is a big part of that.
A huge part of it.
Any last words of wisdom for our listeners?
Just stay curious, stay informed,
Yeah,
and don't be afraid to ask questions.
that's great advice.
We're all learning together.
Well, this has been awesome.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Thanks for having me.
And remember, the future's being written right now,
It is.
so get involved and help shape it.
That's right.
Until next time, keep exploring.
Keep exploring.